Her brother had her laptop, and that email sent minutes before. That's not coincidence, right?
Pack your things, you're out tonight. The door slammed behind me, and I heard the lock click from the inside. I'm Lena, 17, barefoot on my own front porch at midnight, holding a half-packed duffel bag I didn't even pack myself. Inside, my parents are still awake. They're just not opening the door. My brother stood there and told me to leave like he owned the house. And my parents didn't argue, didn't question it, didn't even look at me. When I knocked, my dad's voice came through the door calm, like this was already decided. You need to go. No explanation, no warning, just gone. My phone lit up as I tried calling anyone, then died in my hand. But before the screen went black, a message flashed from a number I didn't recognize. They saw the email. I stared at the door, then back at the dead phone, my chest tightening because I never sent any email. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The cold hits me first. Not dramatic, just sharp enough to make my toes curl against the concrete as I stand there, staring at the door like it might change its mind. Dad? I knock again, harder this time. Mom, what is this? There's movement inside shadows shifting behind the frosted glass. I know they're right there. I can almost picture it. My dad standing with his arms crossed, my mom sitting at the table pretending not to hear me, and Evan, probably leaning against the wall like this is some kind of show. Open the door, I say, louder now. This isn't funny. No answer. A second ago, I was in my room. Half my clothes were still in drawers. Then Evan walked in without knocking, tossed a duffel bag onto my bed, and started pulling things out like he'd done it before. Don't make this harder than it has to be, he said. Harder than what? I asked. What are you talking about? He didn't explain. Just zipped the bag halfway and handed it to me. Then he walked me down the hallway past my parents, who wouldn't meet my eyes, and opened the front door. Now I'm out here. I try the handle again. Locked. I circle to the side of the house, peering through the living room window. The lights are still on. My dad is there. He looks up for a second, just a second, and then looks away like I'm not even standing there. That's when it sinks in. This isn't a fight. This isn't punishment. This is planned. I hug my arms around myself and step back onto the porch. My bag feels heavier now, like it doesn't belong to me. They saw the email. The words echo in my head. I swallow, trying to think. What email? I didn't send anything. Not to them, not to anyone. A car passes at the end of the street, headlights sweeping across the house for a second, and in that brief flash, I see something inside through the window. Evan, standing there, holding my laptop, watching me. I wasn't supposed to see him, but I did. Evan didn't move when the headlights passed. He just stood there in the living room, my laptop open in his hands, the screen lighting up his face. Not surprised, not guilty, just calm. Like everything was going exactly how he expected. My stomach tightened. Why did he have my laptop? I stepped off the porch and moved closer to the window, squinting through the glare. Evan! I shouted, banging on the glass this time. What are you doing? Open the door! He didn't react right away. Then, slowly, he closed the laptop and turned his back on me. Just walked out of view. A strange, hollow feeling settled in my chest. That wasn't anger. It wasn't even cruelty. It was worse, it was certainty. Like he already knew I couldn't do anything about this. I backed away from the window, my hands starting to shake. None of this made sense. My parents weren't like this. Even when things got tense, there was always talking, questions, something, not silence. I pulled my dead phone out again, pressing the power button like that might magically bring it back. Nothing. Just my reflection in the black screen, hair messy, face pale, eyes wide like I didn't recognize myself. Think I couldn't just stand here. The street was quiet, most houses dark. The only place still lit up was the gas station 2 blocks down. I hesitated, glancing back at the house one more time, waiting for the door to open, for someone to call me back. Nothing. So I started walking. The pavement was cold under my feet, each step making me more aware of how unprepared I was. I hugged the duffel bag tighter, like it could somehow anchor me. As I walked, pieces of the last few days started replaying in my head small things I brushed off at the time. Evan in my room 2 nights ago, sitting at my desk. "I fixed your laptop," he said, not even looking up. "I didn't ask you to," I told him. "You're welcome," he replied, like that ended the conversation. Then yesterday, my mom asking weird questions out of nowhere. "Have you been stressed lately?" she asked, avoiding eye contact. "What?" "No," I said. "Why?" She just shook her head. Never mind. And tonight at dinner, no one really talked. Evan kept checking his phone, smirking at something. My dad barely touched his food. My mom kept glancing at me like she wanted to say something but didn't. It wasn't random. It built up to this. The gas station doors slid open with a soft chime as I stepped inside. Warm air hit my skin, and I realized how cold I'd gotten. The cashier barely looked up. I went straight to the counter. Can I use your phone just for a minute?" He hesitated, then slid it across. "Keep it quick." "Thank you." My fingers fumbled as I dialed my mom's number. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. I tried my dad. Same thing. Evan. Straight to voicemail. I lowered the phone slowly. Something heavy settling in my chest again. They weren't just ignoring me. They were avoiding me. Like they'd already decided something about me and didn't want to hear anything else. "Hey," the cashier said, pointing to the small computer station in the corner. "If you need internet, it's there." I nodded, barely hearing him, and walked over. My hands hovered over the keyboard for a second before I logged into my email. Inbox loaded. Normal. Nothing new. But something felt off. I clicked over to sent and froze. At the very top was an email I didn't recognize. Subject line: "I'm done hiding this." My breath caught as I slowly moved the cursor toward it. I didn't remember writing this. I didn't remember sending anything. And yet, it was right there. Sent from me to my entire family. I clicked it open, and the first line made my chest drop. "You deserve to know what I've been doing behind your backs." I stopped breathing halfway through the first paragraph. The words on the screen sounded like me, but twisted. Structured like something I would write, phrased the way I usually explain things, but the content was wrong. Completely wrong. "I've been taking money because I didn't think you'd notice." My fingers tightened on the mouse. No, I didn't," I whispered under my breath, like someone could hear me and correct it. I kept reading. Every line dug deeper. Claims about lying, about covering things up, about being tired of pretending to be the good one. It even referenced specific amounts of money, exact numbers, like whoever wrote this knew exactly what would sound believable. My chest felt tight, like the air in the room had thinned. I scrolled down. Attachments. 3 files. I clicked the first one. A screenshot opened bank activity, my parents' account. Multiple transfers highlighted in red, small ones at first, then larger, all labeled with notes that looked like they came from me. My name was right there in the memo lines. The formatting looked real, too real. But something about it wasn't right. The spacing, the font weight, subtle but off. I opened the second file. Message. Text conversations, me admitting things, brushing off questions, even joking about getting away with it. The tone was close enough to mine that it made my stomach twist. "I didn't write this," I said out loud, quieter this time. The cashier glanced over, then looked away. I scrolled further. The email list. My parents, my aunt, my dad's friend, Mr. Hargrove. My throat went dry. This wasn't just inside the house. This was already out there. Whatever Evan did, it wasn't just to get me kicked out. It was to make sure I couldn't come back. My hand hovered over the final attachment. I didn't want to open it, but I did. Another screenshot. A single transfer. Large amount. Date stamped from 2 weeks ago. From my parents' account, toe and name. I leaned closer to the screen, squinting like maybe I was reading it wrong. But I wasn't. Evan Carter. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like I'd missed a step. No way! I zoomed in, scanning every detail. The amount matched something I overheard 2 weeks ago, my parents arguing late at night behind their closed bedroom door. It doesn't just disappear, my mom said. There has to be an explanation, my dad insisted. Evan had come out then, calm, stepping between them. I'll look into it, he said. It's probably a system error. And just like that, the argument stopped. I stared back at the screen. Not a system error, a transfer. To him, my pulse started to pound in my ears. This wasn't random. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was built carefully, on purpose. I switched back to the email, scrolled up, timestamp, Saint 11:32 da tarde. I was still in my room at 11:32. Evan was there with my laptop. My hands went cold. He didn't just have access. He used it. I clicked into the account details. Device history. One of the recent logins stood out immediately. Not my phone. Not the gas station. A device labeled Windows. Carter Home Evan. My breath caught. Okay, I whispered, trying to steady myself. Okay, think. The evidence looked convincing, but it wasn't perfect. There were cracks, small ones, enough to question it, enough to fight it. My phone, dead. No way to show anyone quickly. My parents already believed this. They locked me out because of this, because of him. My screen flickered slightly as a new message notification popped up in the corner of the email interface. Unknown sender, same as before. I clicked it. Now you see it. My heart pounded harder. Another message followed immediately. Look closer at the timestamps, he rushed. I swallowed, eyes darting back to the attachments. Rushed? That meant mistakes. That meant proof. But also, that meant this wasn't over. My fingers hovered over the trackpad again, because if Evan made even one mistake, then everything he just did could fall apart. Or I could make it worse. Another message appeared. If you wait, he wins. I stared at the screen, pulse racing, trying to decide if I was about to fix this or walk straight into something I didn't understand at all. I didn't have time to hesitate. I opened the attachments again, this time slower, forcing myself to look past the shock. If he rushed, like the message said, then something wouldn't line up. The bank screenshot first. I zoomed in on the transaction to Evan. The date, 2 weeks ago. The time, 2:14 a.m. I frowned. 2 weeks ago, at 2:14 a.m., I wasn't even awake. I had a chemistry quiz the next morning. I went to bed before midnight. I remember because I set 3 alarms. I clicked back to the email draft history. There were multiple versions saved. That shouldn't exist. I never draft emails like that, especially not confessions. Each version had timestamp. Onbir, Beish, Peme. Onbir, Onyedi, PM. Onbir, 29 PM. All within the same night. All while Evan was in my room. My chest tightened. Okay, I whispered, piecing it together. I opened the device activity again. The same device kept appearing. Carter Home Evan, logging in, out, back in. He wasn't careful. He didn't think he had to be. Because no one was supposed to question it. I clicked into my cloud storage next. Recent activity. Files opened, edited, uploaded, not just tonight, going back days. My stomach dropped. He'd been building this layer by layer, setting it up so when it finally happened, it would look complete, planned. I scrolled further and then stopped. A folder I didn't recognize. Name, temp, exports. I clicked it. Empty, but not really. At the top, a small line. 3 items deleted. My pulse spiked. I checked the trash. There. 3 files. Deleted less than an hour ago. My fingers hovered for half a second, then I restored them. The first file opened instantly. A screen recording. No sound. Just a video of my laptop screen. The cursor moving. Typing. My breath caught in my throat. It was Evan. I couldn't see his face, but I knew the way he typed. Fast and confident. He opened my email. Started a new message. Typed the subject. I'm done hiding this. Then, the body. Line by line. Every word. Every sentence I had just read, manufactured. My hands started shaking as I skipped forward. He attached the bank screenshots, the fake messages, paused, then opened another tab. His bank account. The same transfer. He hovered over it for a second, then took a screenshot. Dragged it into the email, closed everything. Send. Timestamp visible in the corner. Onbir, Otaziki, PM. My stomach twisted. Proof, real proof, not just inconsistencies. Not just suspicion. This was it. I backed out of the file slowly, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was shaking my ribs. He set me up, I whispered. Not just to get me in trouble. To remove me completely. Another notification popped up. Incoming call. Unknown number. The same one. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? For a second, nothing. Then a voice. Calm, low. You found it. My grip tightened on the mouse. Who is this? Pause. Then, someone who didn't have proof when it happened to me. My chest went tight. What are you talking about? He does this, the voice said. Not often, only when he needs to. My throat went dry. Needs to what? Shift the blame. Silence stretched for a second. Then I asked the question that had been building in my chest since I saw that transfer. Why me? Another pause. Longer this time. Then the answer came, steady and certain. Because this time, you were the only one close enough to take the fall. My stomach dropped. I looked back at the screen, the recording, the logs, the timestamp. Everything pointing in one direction. Everything leading back to him, but one thing didn't make sense. Not yet. Why now? I asked, barely above a whisper. The voice didn't hesitate this time. Because if you're still there in the morning, a slight pause. You won't be the only thing he's taken. The line went silent, and I realized I wasn't just trying to prove I was innocent anymore. I was already too late to stop something bigger. I didn't think about it anymore. I just moved. I grabbed the cashier's attention long enough to ask for a charger. He pointed to one behind the counter, and within seconds my phone was plugged in, screen flickering back to life inch by inch. Enough to move. I transferred the screen recording, the logs, everything I could into a single folder and emailed it to myself twice. Then to a new address I created on the spot. Backup after backup. If Evan deleted anything later, it wouldn't matter. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were steady, because now I knew exactly what this was, and I knew exactly where to go. The walk back felt shorter. Not because it was, but because I wasn't wandering anymore. The house looked the same, quiet, lights off now, like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't been standing outside an hour ago, begging to be let back in. I walked straight up to the front door and knocked. Hard. No hesitation this time. It took longer, but eventually the porch light flicked on. Footsteps. The door cracked open just enough for my dad to look through. His expression wasn't angry. It was guarded. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "I need 5 minutes," I replied, holding my phone up. That's it. A pause. Then, from somewhere behind him, Evan's voice. "Don't. She'll just lie more." I pushed the door slightly before my dad could close it. "I'm not asking," I said, my voice sharper now. "You need to see this." That did it. Something in my tone, controlled, not desperate, made him hesitate. Then, slowly, he opened the door wider. I stepped inside. The air felt different. Heavy. My mom was sitting on the couch, eyes red like she'd been crying. She looked at me, but didn't speak. Evan stood near the hallway, arms crossed. Calm. Still calm. "You sent that email," he said flatly. "We all saw it." I didn't respond. I just walked past him and set my phone on the table. "Watch," I said. My dad frowned. "Lena, just watch." I hit play. The room filled with silence as the screen recording started. Cursor moving. Email opening, typing, every second stretching longer than it should. No one spoke, not even Evan. But I could feel it, the shift, slow at first, then sharper. By the time the video reached the part where he opened his own bank account and dragged the screenshot into the email, my mom made a sound. Small, broken, no. My dad leaned closer to the screen, his jaw tightening. Evan didn't move, didn't interrupt, but something changed in his face. Not panic. Calculation. "It's fake," he said finally. "She could have edited that." I looked at him. "Then explain the login history," I said, swiping to the next screen. "Your device, multiple times, not mine." My dad took the phone from the table now, scrolling himself faster, more focused. "Explain the timestamps," I added. I wasn't even awake when that transfer happened. Silence. Evan exhaled slowly, shaking his head like he was disappointed. "You really went all out," he muttered. That was the moment it broke. Not because of what he said, but how he said it. Too smooth, too practiced. My dad's hand tightened around the phone. "Evan," he said, his voice lower now. "Is this true?" No answer. Just a second of stillness. Then Evan shrugged. Slight, dismissive. "It's not like it matters now," he said. My mom let out a sharp breath, covering her mouth. "What does that mean?" she asked. Evan finally looked at them, not me. "It means the money's gone either way," he said, "and someone had to take the fall." The words landed heavy. Final. My dad stepped back like something had physically hit him. "You blamed your sister," he said. Evan didn't deny it, didn't defend it, just stood there, and that silence said everything. The fallout didn't explode. It collapsed. Quiet, heavy, irreversible. My mom cried, really cried this time, not quietly. My dad didn't yell. He just stood there, staring at Evan like he didn't recognize him anymore. Phones came out. Calls were made. Not to family, to the bank. Then, later, to someone else. Evan didn't resist, didn't argue, but he didn't apologize either. Not once. By morning, the story had already started to shift. My dad called my aunt, then Mr. Hargrove. Short conversations, controlled, corrective. The email wasn't real. There was a misunderstanding. We're handling it, but it wasn't that simple. People had seen it, read it, believed it. And even after the truth came out, something stayed not fully repaired, not fully erased. As for me, I didn't go back to my room, didn't unpack, didn't sit back down at the table like nothing happened. My mom asked me to stay, more than once. My dad didn't say it directly, but it was there. In the way he avoided my eyes, in the way he lingered when I picked up my bag again. But the door felt different now. Not like safety, like something temporary, something that could change again, without warning. So I packed properly this time, took everything that was mine. Not rushed, not forced, just decided. When I reached the front door, my dad finally spoke. "We should have listened," he said. I paused, looked back at him, at both of them, then at Evan, sitting in silence, no longer in control of anything. And I said the only thing that felt true. "You should have asked." I stepped outside. Same porch, same door. But this time, no one locked it behind me.
If you were Lena, would you leave or stay after that? Tell me why.